Yeah, this is better. Okay, let's try that again. What is up, my lumpias? It's Vanessa and welcome back to the channel. So we are in the bedroom, but my ring light, I can't find the plug for my ring light. Right now we have a lot of things moving around, which will be in a future vlog, but for now, my office, I can't even really walk into, so, and the plug is somewhere in there and I couldn't find it, so we just have to deal with the natural light of the windows, so that's why this side of the room being filmed today. So, for today's video, it is super exciting. So, I have been on Poshmark for 2 years now, and I've had a Poshmark account, and a lot of my YouTube content recently is a lot of thrifting items to resell on my Poshmark closet, buying things from Poshmark, promoting it, just because I think it's such an amazing platform. I've even compared it to other selling platforms that I've used. I'm gonna link these videos in the eye, so if you guys are interested to watch them, you're welcome to. But for today's video, I'm going to talk about Poshmark, and if you wanted to start your own Poshmark account, what you need to do, the basic 101, because a lot of my friends, family members have asked me about Poshmark, and they have started their own accounts and they've been doing well on them, so I wanted to kind of do a little tutorial for you guys, because honestly I think it's such a great thing to do, shopping secondhand. Again, I was not really a big secondhand shopper before, and now it's just my way of shopping. So I hope that this video helps you if you are interested in getting a Poshmark account, and this is going to refer to Poshmark Canada. So I hope this helps you, and if you like these types of videos, make sure to give it a like, and don't forget to click that subscribe button down below as I post every single Friday. And with that, let's get into the video. So I have some points on my phone, so I'm gonna be like reverting to them. Basically, this video is gonna be a basic 101. So that's for new users wanting to start a Poshmark closet. If you have any questions and that I don't answer, definitely comment them down below, ask them down below, and I will answer them as best as I can. Being on Poshmark for 2 years now, I believe I got a good hang of things, you know. For those of you who don't know, Poshmark is a selling platform, so I discovered it because I've always sold my clothing online. I used Carousel when that first came out, which was more of a meetup in person type of app, which worked great for me at the time because I lived in downtown Toronto, which is like a prime area where people go to, so it was always easy to make sales that way. And then once COVID hit, I started to look into Depop, but shipping in Canada is kind of difficult, so Depop wasn't really working for me, and hence I'm using Poshmark, and it is so easy. I list items, and when the buyer ends up buying something, they pay for the shipping, and I just get the little email with the label, and that way I print it out, package the item, and send it off, and that way I get the money into my Poshmark account, which is so easy. So that's why I love it. The convenience is really good, especially because I live in the suburbs. Super easy kind of side hustle, which is why I love it. My first tip for Poshmark is when you create an account, well, first create an account on Poshmark Canada, and if you haven't, when you sign up, you should actually use my code, which is Tillnerova, and you will get a $15 credit added to your account, which I think is really good. And you're probably wondering, like, Vanessa, like, what if we use your code? What do you get? Well, I get the same thing. I get $15 onto my account as well. So basically, you get $15 onto your account, and so do I. So, you know, it's kind of like a little pay me for my services of giving you this tutorial. Or if you just want to, like, heck, $15 into your account, that's great. And you're probably wondering, like, what's this $15 credit? It's if you ever want to buy something on Poshmark, it's like a Poshmark credit. It's not something you can take out and put into your bank account. You have to use it on Poshmark. So that way we can shop secondhand. So that's always nice. And this is actually the most important tip for Poshmark, because I've had people that have signed up and they wanted to start thrifting right away. So I told them, and I'm telling you guys, if you want to start a Poshmark closet, you have to start with your own items first. And I'll tell you why. So when I started Poshmark, I honestly have been using it seriously for 1 year. My very first year, I was just selling my items. Just my items specifically, because, well, you guys know I declutter and buy so many clothes myself. I kind of like rotate my closet, which is so bad, but now I'm buying way less, which is amazing, but I still have a lot of clothes. So honestly, and I believe I have really cute clothes. I don't buy things that are bad quality. I feel like the clothes I have is really worth selling. And I feel like on Poshmark in general, literally people will buy anything, any casual clothing, even if it's like a casual, like basic V-neck tee, someone will buy it if you price it right. So if you even have casual things in your wardrobe, heck, you might do a bundle. Like say you have 3 V-neck tees that are all the same size, put them as a bundle together. Bundle of 3 V-neck tees for $15. Someone will buy that because that's a good deal. I don't think you can buy 3 V-neck tees for $15 anymore. I don't think that's a thing. You know, what I highly recommend is use your items, because instead of spending your own money to like go to like a secondhand store and buy things, or go to a garage sale and buy things and put on your closet, when you join Poshmark, you're not going to have any followers, and you need to build that following. I recommend using your items and gain a following, because then once you have a following, you'll have more eyes on your item, more people will share your items, and that way you will sell more that way. So before you start going off spending money to buy inventory for your Poshmark closet, use your items first. Highly recommend just declutter your house, and as long as it's not too heavy for shipping, put it on Posh, or not too big to ship. Obviously, like you can't sell a massive painting, right? I highly recommend putting it on Poshmark. That way you're not spending money either. You're just gonna be earning it from stuff you already have. In order to build up this following, another tip that I have for you, tip number 3, is to take good photos with good lighting. I thought I was doing good lighting because I would do natural light. Like, see how the light is like hitting me right now? This is natural lighting. But I don't know if you notice, my skin kind of has like a bluish hue to it. So when I was taking my pictures of some of my items, especially ones that have a certain color, for example, I had these bright green pants, okay? I sold them now. I had them in the natural light, which it looked good. It was just the color was a little off, but I didn't think it was anything crazy. But there are people on Poshmark that are very specific on their colors, including myself. I buy things and I expect it to be that color. This person that bought the item wasn't happy with it because they said the color is actually darker in person than bright, because again, the lighting. So what I recommend is if you have a ring light, definitely trying to utilize that. I actually don't use a ring light, but I know a lot of sellers do it and it looks great. I do it where we have pot lights, so the lighting has that yellow hue, and that is the one that actually looks the most natural. So personally, that's the way it looks best. Like if you have warmish lighting, not too warm that things look orange, taking good photos, like if there's any damage to anything, like zoom in on it, like I don't know, like say there's a thread pull or something, or a little mark, make sure you take photos of that, and make sure if you're taking a photo of the whole item, make sure to show the whole item. Take as many good detailed pictures as you can, because the last thing you want is someone buying the item and then they get it and you didn't take a picture of one side or something and there's a scratch, and say they have buyer's remorse and they want to return it. Hey, you didn't take a picture of that side, so they'll be able to return it. In addition to good photos with good lighting, on your app, when you're picking something or when you're posting something, I always you put measurements in. And I am telling you, if you are starting your own closet, make sure to put measurements on your clothing. And I'll tell you why. So when I started, I didn't put measurements because I'm like, this is items from my closet and I'm a small. So if something's a small, it's gonna be a small because it's from my closet. Obviously, I know some brands are a little bit different, but if it's me, I'm a small, so I just never put measurements. And I was selling a bunch of items. No one would ask about measurements. And then I started to get the snowball effect of measurements. What's the pit to pit? What's the length? I didn't mind at first digging into my inventory to measure the items for the customer, but after a while of building inventory, it is a hassle to have to do measurements. And especially it's happened where I'm at work and people ask for the measurements, and I would say, hey, I'm at work, I'll let you know tonight when I get home. I give them the measurements and they disappeared, because a lot of people on Poshmark are just going through the app, and if they think something's cute and if it will fit them, they'll buy it. So I've lost sales even because I didn't have the measurements. So I just highly recommend putting the measurements on there. So for tops, I put the pit to pit and the length. For pants I'm really detailed. I put the full length, which is like from the top to the bottom, the inseam, which is the crotch to the bottom, the rise, which is the crotch to the top of the pant, and the waist laying flat. Dresses, pit to pit, length, I don't go do anything too crazy. That's basically what I do. Even for shoes, sometimes for shoes I measure it from the back to the front, but shoes don't really shrink, so I don't really use that. But for any clothing, I recommend just doing the measurements. It just saves you a lot of hassle, and it's gonna be a lot of work to post the item because you have to measure all that stuff. But trust me, it will be helpful in the long run. Because honestly, for me, I have a pile of clothes that I didn't do measurements for, because I get asked about measurements so often now because I have a bigger following on Poshmark, that I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna take all those clothes that I never measured and I'm gonna measure them now, and it's like a massive pile, and I'm just like, you know, I'm dreading doing it. So just do it, trust me. In addition to measurements, something else you should just take a picture of is the material tag. I have started to be asked material details on clothing. The material tags say you cut it, because sometimes they make you itchy and people just cut them. If there's no material tag, just say it in the listing. But if you have it, honestly, just take a picture of it. It's not the biggest deal. Yeah, because I've had shirts that are actually polyester blouses, but they look like silk. So it always just helps to have the tag. I think this is like one of the most important tip, okay? So the key of Poshmark to be successful is to be on the application. And I don't mean just checking the application a couple times a day. I mean posting. So you need to post at least one item a day on the application. And I'll tell you why. So the algorithm on Poshmark, personally, I don't know, but I have noticed from me not being on the app as much to going onto the app, I get a lot more sales when I'm on the app. So when I started to post more items, I was starting to get sales, like a couple a month. And I was like, oh, now I'm starting to get sales. And then once I started to thrift, and I'm like, oh, I need some more inventory. And obviously I wanted to have other sizes other than small. And I started posting a couple of items a day, maybe 2 or 3. And I was starting to gain followers more quickly, as well as make sales more frequently. Today, it depends on the week, but I make like 1 to 5 sales a week, depending if I'm as active on the app. So my recommendation to you guys is just to post at least 1 item a day. And if you're in that spree of taking pictures and getting ready to post, you are able to save a draft of the listing. So you don't have to post it, create the listing and then post it. You can create the listing and save it to draft. You know, like TikTok, like Instagram, save it to drafts and post it later. So that way, at least it's there for you, and you can just post at least 1 a day. And I guarantee you're gonna get lots of more followers and your sales will start to grow. The last basic tip that I'm gonna give you today, and it is an important one. When I started, I didn't really care about this tip at the time, but now being a more consistent seller and caring more about my customers, It is very important. And even being a buyer, it is very important. When you sell an item, you get the shipping label, you pack it up and you ship it. Before you pack it up, I highly recommend make sure to inspect the item. So say it's a shirt. I would recommend doing an inspection of it. And if there's any mark or anything you notice that's different from the listing, let the buyer know. And I have done this actually before. There has been a time where I actually sold an item, didn't do an inspection, and they gave me a review. They gave me a 4-star review, just saying like, oh, it's a little bit dirty, but it will come out in the wash, so no big deal. And I felt bad actually, because I was like, oh, I didn't notice. And I was being more careful after that. So, and it was like one of my first sales too, so it caught me early, which is good. But when I have sold items, and obviously you guys know I have a dog, it might get on the clothing, so that way I inspect it, make sure there's no dog hair, lint roll it, like I just make sure that's in great condition, like the best condition that I would want to receive it in. And if there is a mark that I missed, I let the seller know. I've done that for actually a dress. There was actually a really, really small hole in it and I didn't notice it. But I let the buyer know like, hey, I was doing an inspection of the dress and I noticed there's a very small hole, but it's not noticeable. Like, let me know if that's okay with you. And she said like, oh, okay, thanks for letting me know. If you think it's not a big deal, then no big deal. And I shipped it and I got a 5-star review. So, you know, always just be honest, because it will be the worst thing. Like say there's a hole in a shirt, like a small one, and you ship it to get the shirt, see the hole, they will be upset with you. If I bought a shirt that didn't specify there was a hole and I got a hole in the shirt, I would be not too happy and I would just want to return it. It builds a good rapport between customer and seller, so it's just easier that way. Just be honest and be detailed and thorough, and honestly, you will have a successful Poshmark closet. And those are my basic 101 tips for starting a Poshmark closet. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If there are any questions that you have that I haven't answered, please comment them down below and let me know. I might do a part 2 of Poshmark 101, but a more advanced version. Yeah, I hope it's helpful, and that way you guys can start those Poshmark closets and make that money. Well, thank you all so much for watching. If you liked this video, please make sure to give it a like for the YouTube algorithm. As well, if you haven't yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button as I post every single Friday. Thanks for watching and see you next week. Bye.